All right. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Hans.
This is Tristan.
Welcome to the Hans and Tristan podcast. We have a special guest today.
Yes, very, very special. This is my boo thing. This is my baby mother.
Oh,
But more officially, this is my line sister, Shantae Simmons. And she's also a fellow mental health professional. Ta-da! I'm gonna tell you how I first met Shantae. I first met Shantae my freshman year at Bennett College. And for the week, the first week is all freshmen, but then they also have Bennett ambassadors. So of course they have all these stupid events or whatever that they try to force all the freshmen to go to, all this other stupid stuff. So her and my other line sister, Cedria, were Bennett ambassadors, and which was a year ahead of me.
okay.
So I'm in my room avoiding all these events because you know how I get belligerent. Like, this is not for me. So I hear a knock on my door. Doom, doom, doom. So I'm like, who the hell is at my door? I open the door, and Shantae is one of the many other females standing in my door.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, we have this event going on. You have your schedule. Do you know this is going on? I'm like, yeah. They're like, are you going to go? No. And that was my introduction.
That sounds about right.
Right. And she's been in my life forever. I love her to pieces. My baby loves her to pieces.
Yeah.
So yes, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much. That warm welcome brought back so many memories.
You know what? I picked the healthy memories we have. I picked the ones that were, conducive to what we're trying to do today.
Yes. Thank you.
I can't wait to hear the unhealthy memories.
Oh, that's off air lingo.
Oh, okay. All right.
It brought us to where we are today, stronger, so it works out.
Absolutely. So we brought Shantae on because recently she did a video about a couple of months ago.
Yes.
And she did a video, and I absolutely loved it. She sent it to me before she even posted it. And I'm like, I've never seen her in this light. Again, she's a mental health professional. So we expect her to definitely talk about that component, but she talked about it on the receiving end. So she talked about her anxiety and how it affects her. And it was just so raw, so real, and so vulnerable that I'm just like, oh my God. And she finally posted it. And it circulated and got so many views, so many comments, and I loved it. And I know a lot of people loved it. So I'm like, well, why not bring her on? So we could talk about what we love, right? And why we love it and why we reacted the way we did.
Definitely. I saw the video myself, and just like Tristan, I thought it was very courageous as someone who's in the mental health profession to share their struggles and their experience with mental health, because oftentimes we're in the position of helping and giving information and bringing awareness or mindfulness to mental health and how to cope and deal and who to reach out to, right? But rarely are we open enough to say, hey, I experienced this and this is what I was dealing with. So I was just, thrown for the fact that you were just, willing to just be open with that. Because for me, it lets people know that no one is immune to this. Like, this can be anyone. And I just was like, okay, this is great. So I want to know, how was that experience for you? Like, overall? How was that experience?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for watching. Overall, initially, it was very scary.
Okay.
Like you said, it's easier for me. It's easier, being in the mental health field and being able to talk to someone else about what's going on with them. But then when you are talking about yourself and being vulnerable, opening yourself completely up, that was very scary for me. But like I said, I use being courageous, which is something that you mentioned, just to put it out there. I figure that I can, help someone. And if I can help someone through my experience, even if it's one person, then, I did my job.
I love it. And for me, it echoes back to some of the points that Tristan and I have talked about when it comes to doing your part. And I believe that you're an exemplary, like you are the blueprint of doing your part. You number one came with your credentials. It's, you know, Tristan loves to have credentials and resumes. So you came with your credentials, but you also came with your experience, and you did it in a light of, hey, this is what I went through, and I know I'm not alone, right? Because in your comment, in your caption, which was rather lengthy, in your caption at the bottom, I love how you put I read it all. I read it. I'm not one of them who don't read. I read it all. I love how you said, to anybody out there, you know, struggling with anxiety, you're not alone. And I think that's important, because we sometimes forget that our lives are just not lived in a vacuum, that we touch so many other people, and you never really know what anybody else is going through. And for you to put something out there that's typically kept in the confines of the therapy room or the confines of your mind, or, you know, like, for you to put that out there, and I'm pretty sure just from the amount of shares it likes, I think 2,000, 2,500, 2,300 shares and all that. Like, I was just like, it has to touch somebody. Somebody can relate and be like, wow, this is me. So I'm not alone, you know, and I think it did just that. But it was something as simple as you just doing your part in your own space. You didn't have to start up a nonprofit. You didn't have to, you know, start up your own business. It wasn't anything too physically tasking. Now, I feel like it was mentally tasking to, you know, build up the courage.
Oh, yes. Yes.
But nonetheless, though, it didn't take anything that nobody else doesn't possess in their own, you know, like, all you did was sit in front of a camera and just share your experience.
Right. It was, like I said, I went back and forth about it. I actually was supposed to record it. I had said I was going to record it for quite some time. And I kept kind of going back and forth on it, but I had some really great people behind me that pushed me to do it. So like I said, I'm just happy that I did it. It really helped.
I just thought about something, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you mind if you send Tristan or I the video and we post it on our YouTube page?
I absolutely do not mind.
Okay, that's what we're gonna do. So, and we're gonna do it without your permission.
Anyway.
No, so for those of you who are wondering, where can I find this video? Where is it? We're gonna post it on our YouTube page. For those,
and repost it if y'all want.
Yes.
The more people, the better.
There you go. There you go. Like, share, spread it. So we're going to do that, guys. So have no fear. We will post a video on our YouTube page for those of you who want to watch it, and you should watch it. You should definitely.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So in the midst of doing all this, right, you know, we, again, in the field, it feels very therapeutic to, like, did it feel therapeutic to actually go through the process? I know you were anxious, I know you were scared, but did it feel therapeutic actually putting because you were very transparent. You talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of intimate stuff that only a lot of people that are super close to you would even know about. So was it therapeutic to go through the process? And what was the aftermath emotionally for you?
I will say yes, it was very therapeutic. It's weird because, like I said, I was nervous before I even did it. I just kept telling myself I wasn't going to do it. But I felt like I was so proud of myself for actually doing it. It made me feel like I can do anything. Like, this was nothing. Like, I can't wait to see how much I can accomplish when it comes to this area. If this is what I did and I feel this great about it, I was able to do it. How much it just taught me that I could really do anything, and that I was kind of in my own way, because this is something that I could have done a while ago, but I'm just happy that I did it now. It's never too late. And afterwards, like I said, the people who reached out to me and talked to me about it and just let me know that they were experiencing the same sorts of things, like that, and hearing that it helped, then very therapeutic. I was so happy about it. And I'm still like on a high thinking about it. So yeah, definitely it was therapeutic.
Will that encourage you to do more videos?
Yes. I'm actually in the process of starting a YouTube.
Okay.
I'm in the early stages, so once I get all of my things together, I will definitely let you all know. so that
Okay.
you can let everyone else know. But yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. This is definitely going to be my area, helping people out, letting them know, like I said, that they're not by themselves, and just different aspects of anxiety and mental health in general.
Got you. So, I know you said you got a lot of feedback and everything, and one part of the video that ring clear to me was you're talking about your experience with your parents, right? And them saying, "Why are
Mm-hmm.
you so worried?" And why are you worrying so much? And that rang in my ear because oftentimes, parents don't understand what their kids are going through,
Right.
and often our own parents or family members can be barriers to our mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, how was it for some of your family members or anybody close to you hearing this when they watched the video, or if they watched the video?
Yeah, it's funny. Everything is funny because as you're saying it, I'm thinking about like all of the things that's happened to me about it. But yeah, so a lot of my family members did reach out to me. A lot of them were saying like, I feel like you were talking directly to me. Like,
Oh,
is
shots
this like,
fired.
you're throwing subs? Like, let me know. But yeah, they just basically, some apologized, some explained, which made me think a little bit differently about it. How difficult it can be on the other end of supporting someone who has anxiety, because sometimes the way that they come off isn't a way that's insensitive or that they don't know, but people do not know how to react to it.
Mm,
So, a lot of family members, like I said, they did acknowledge how they went about things and told me that they did teach me a lot. And it also opened my eyes to know, like, to be more sensitive to how it is to deal with someone who has anxiety, and understanding that people do not know how to support you. And if you don't let people know how to support you, that things won't work out and make you more isolated. So they reached out. They let me know.
You have a very vocal family.
Yes. Yes.
One part of the video I loved a lot was the fact that you talk about as a child, talk about, your stomach hurting, and talk about the physical symptoms of the anxiety and how it manifested, especially as a child, because, again, when we're children, we, understand, we know it, but then somehow when we become adults, we forget all this childish stuff that we did, and somehow we feel so disconnected from children all of a sudden. Right? So understanding that, yes, if your child is saying their stomach hurt, it might not be they got a boo-boo. It might be something more. And again, educating the people, because you didn't just talk to the people who actually are going through this, but you're educating a whole different demographic who are supporting those who are going through it.
Right.
Which is imperative, because education is key.
No, I definitely agree. And even in that short snippet, when you talked about that, it just exemplifies so much that we could dive into, right? So just like Tristan said, we have to educate, right, the people as to how our kids can experience it. But even then, it just goes to show that sometimes our kids don't know what they're experiencing. Right. So if you're experiencing anxiety and don't know it, like, how do you even begin to communicate to your family members that, hey, what I'm experiencing is anxiety? Like, that's usually that's not how it goes. Usually it gets to the point of physical, right? Just like Tristan says, physical manifestations, and that's what you cue in on. And oftentimes we don't make that correlation directly to mental health. We go down a line.
Right. When I was doing the video, because when I went into the video, it was very raw. Like, at first I wanted it to be very scripted. I was like, no, I have to do everything perfectly, but it was very raw. And in that moment, I didn't plan on talking about anything specific. And as I was talking about it, it came to me in that moment, like, yo, when I was a kid, I used to deal with this every day. Like, that was your anxiety. And literally in that moment. And if me, being in a mental health field, it's weird when you're actually in that, have that hat on, and then when you don't, because your kids have physical, it comes out physically. And I did not realize it until that moment. Stomach aches, headaches, that feeling of feeling nervous out of nowhere. Like, those are things that I was dealing with. I can imagine like 3-4 years old. So it's just paying attention and not thinking that kids are just making things up making an excuse because they don't want to do something, and something could really be going on. And just make sure you talk to your children and talk it out, because they don't know they don't necessarily know the reasons why they're feeling that way. So, yeah.
So how do you think this will affect how you practice? My bad, Tristan. My bad. Go ahead, Tristan. My bad. Go ahead.
No, go answer your question. I'll wait.
I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you. Anywho, Shante, how do you think this has helped you professionally?
Ooh, good question. I feel like it made me just have more empathy, actually, because I know that that's one of the big things, to be empathetic, have empathy. But truly, when you're dealing with something as well, like, you're actually completely understand where a person is coming from. It helped me just to listen more to those things and just kind of speak, of course, without necessarily telling someone all my business, but just speaking from my experience as well. Because, like, the video helped people, and even in practicing, that can help someone too. So it just made me more empathetic, made me more aware of what they could be going through. And it just helped me to help them. That makes any sense?
No, it does. It does. It definitely does.
Right, yeah. That's basically it.
Can
Go
I
ahead, Tristan.
I'm about to say Tristan. I know you about to
Right.
So how have you or have you implemented any things in your life to kind of combat this? Because, like you said, like, for me, like, I didn't even know, and I've known you since I was 19?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. I just thought you were just like super detail oriented. And I'm just like, girl, please, YOLO.
Oh, bubbly and all of that.
Right. Like,
anxious energy.
Exactly. And I would have never pegged that. But now I'm like, okay, so now this is why you focus so much on details. Now this is why you do that. You know what I'm saying? So I get all that. So what have you implemented in your life, or again, have you, to kind of, again, have the people around you be more mindful of it, and then also you being more mindful of your anxiety and implementing things to combat
it? So I think that right now is the unique time, because shortly after the video, now we're dealing with the COVID. So this is like a true test of using all things in my toolbox. And I actually just had this conversation with my best friend. So what I'm trying to do is be more vocal and still sit in a place of vulnerability. So being able to communicate how I'm feeling to other people and letting them know what ways to support me. It's kind of like what I've already talked about. Letting them know what's the best way that they can support me, and then recognizing if they don't know how to support me, that it's not them just disregarding my feelings or being insensitive. That it could actually just be people don't know how to react and how to help. So I'm more open to that. I realize that more. I talk to myself about kind of just being rational here, like recognizing that you can't stay inside. Like, you have to go outside at some point in time. This is just a unique situation. I feel like I'm learning as I go every day. So for right now, that's what I'm doing. Tomorrow, if you talk to me, it may be something else. I'm just working with the tools that I have, doing the best I can.
All right, and I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Oftentimes, that's what you can do the best that you can. It reminds me of one point that you made in your video, that dealing with it, you can't do the same thing every time, right? It's
Right.
very context oriented. It's very situational, because triggers of anxiety are not always the same, right?
Right.
Even the panic attacks are not the same, and sometimes it may not even be a full blown, panic attack. So I love that you keep it real like that, because sometimes we like to regiment,
Yeah.
mental health like we regiment physical health, right?
Yep.
If you have a virus or infection, take these antibiotics for 10 days and, boom, 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 and
Yep.
you're good, right? Mental
Yep.
health is different. It's very fluid and it's very changing. It's never always the same. And I love how you pointed that out in your video, because what it does is it it kind of puts people who felt like they were on the outskirts of anxiety,
Yeah.
right? And it pulls them into the conversation. It pulls them into the experience to let them know, like, oh, no, you're not too far removed. You know,
Right.
what you too may be experiencing may be anxiety. And it's okay that what worked this time didn't work. You know, this next time
Yeah.
doesn't mean you have to rewrite the whole, you know, book on coping and what to do. And I think
Right.
that is great that you highlighted that and pointed that out in your video, because I think that's so real. Even when we see our clients, right? And
Yeah.
oftentimes we have to let them know, like, it's okay. Like, it didn't
Mhm.
work this time doesn't mean it's not going to work again, or doesn't mean it's a failure, or that you won't, you know, find a way to
Yeah.
manage and deal with this.
It's important not to be hard on yourself.
Mm,
So like I always remind myself, you know, don't be hard on yourself, and to remember that some things, some days, every day looks different, every moment looks different. You have to take it one moment at a time, and don't feel defeated if something doesn't work, or if you're feeling anxious, because sometimes that also gets to me, because having the tools, being in the profession, and then it's like getting mad at yourself for being anxious.
mm-hmm.
Like, you should know
Right,
what
right.
to do. Like, why aren't you doing what you know what to do? And you shouldn't be feeling this way. But, you know, just remembering that, don't be hard on yourself. You know, some things will work some days and some days don't. Take it one day at a time and just work with the best that you have. And if you don't have it, you can ask for support. That's
Mm-hmm.
important. It's important.
So when you're working with your clients, right? How do you have them understand if they're dealing with anxiety? Because we know anxiety is one thing, but then an anxiety disorder is something different. You know, a disorder is like crippling
Right.
even your daily structure, as opposed to anxiety. And I know a lot of people, as they get older, they struggle with anxiety. So how do you know, or how do you help your clients differentiate? Because I know, like for me, for example, when I have a major event, I am the worst. Like, my nerves are horrific. I could literally throw up. Like, my daughter just like, oh my God, let me just stay out her way. You know what I'm saying? I'm a wildebeest, and I know it, you know? And I don't do that.
Oh, my bad.
But like you said, you're
Yeah,
in
we're
the
on video. We're on video. My bad.
We're recording here. Like,
My bad.
and you don't want to be like that. Like, you don't want to be like a bridezilla or whatever the hell ever, you know, but you don't know anything different than that.
right.
So how do you
I'm sorry.
don't do that? Because I know when I have my events and stuff, when I'm planning something, I'll be so ridiculously just crazy, and then I crash afterwards because I done tuckered myself out like a little toddler. Like, but how do you help with your clients? Because like you said, it looks different from everyone. How do you help them differentiate whether they're, you know, just managing their stress wrong, whether they actually have anxiety, or whether they have anxiety disorder?
So, like you said, but when you have an event and you're kind of all over the place and running back and forth, how do you, like, it's kind of like, it helps. So sometimes having those feelings in your body actually helps to drive you to do great things. So recognizing that having some sort of anxiety or being anxious is natural. I say just that it is natural for you to have some type of anxiety. I talk to them about, you know, again, recognizing how often it happens and if it is interfering with daily activities, because then we know if it is, then that is a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother situation, and we have to deal with that a lot differently. Helping people to become more in tune with themselves, to really pay attention, because I feel like when we're running around and we're doing all of these things and we're not really slowing down to really pay attention to what our bodies is telling us, and just to what we're feeling. So I talk to them about that. Like, it's okay to be in the moment and just feel. And, you know, with those distinctions, I think somewhere throughout all of that, we can recognize which one is which. And that it's okay to actually say it. Like, anxiety, it's not a bad word. When we hear anxiety and disorder and all of these things, it like sounds like something is wrong with me. Like, I don't want anything to be wrong with me. And it's like, let's breathe. Like, let's not think of it as something wrong with me. Let's think of ways that we can cope through it. We can work through it. So I just continuously have that message. and just kind of like normalize it a bit. Like this is things that people go through so that people don't feel like that stigma.
No, and I think that's great because words matter, right? Because they
Yeah.
create meaning, which in turn affect how we deal or handle our situation. And I love how you pinpoint it as something that we're going through, meaning
Right.
you're not anxious, you are not anxiety, you're experiencing anxiety. You get what I
Yeah.
mean? You see the difference in the language in that, and I think that's powerful. And I love how your video did highlight that in the way in which you spoke about it. You spoke about it as something that you've experienced and something that you've gone through and had to deal with in part of your life. It's not you exactly, you know? And
Right.
I think that's great because oftentimes we can lose that. You know, the lines of demarcation sometimes can get blurred by how we experience things. And we can, and also if we've experienced it for so long and
Yeah.
have not actually learned how to deal with it and cope with it,
Mm-hmm.
it can seem like it is us, right?
Right.
Like it is a part of us. And I think you stating that has probably given so many people hope and so many people like a little glimmer of light, like, you know what, like this is not me, this is something I'm experiencing and I can get through and I
Right.
can make it. And I think that's powerful within itself.
Thank you. Thank
No,
you.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for
Words.
sharing. They do matter. They do
Thank
matter.
you.
And I also, um, something that popped into my mind when you were sharing is that I know that as mental health professionals, whether we want to admit it or not, we deal with expectations, right? So,
Yes.
for instance, we're mental health professionals, so we're supposed to be tip top with our mental health game, right?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
it's supposed to be tip top shape. You get
Uh-huh.
what I mean?
Yep.
So, I think for you to share that, it shows like, listen, we deal with stuff too. Like
Yeah.
we deal with stuff too, and we have to manage that as well. And it gives you a light
Absolutely.
into what we have to deal with. Because, you know, this work is not easy.
No.
This work is not easy. It's not for the faint at heart. If you're not passionate about it, I don't think you're going to do a good job at it. That's just me.
Right.
You know, if you disagree, that's on you, but that's how I feel. If you're not
I agree.
really, yeah, if you're not like passionate about helping others, I don't think you're really going to make as much as an impact as you would if you were passionate. But
Absolutely.
that, you know, when the passion ties into the work, and sometimes it can get, you know, a little convoluted and we get lost in
Mm-hmm.
the work, and that itself can, you know, weigh down on our mental health.
Yeah.
And I think your video also for therapists or anybody who's into mental health watching, it's an indication that, hey, I have to take better care of myself as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Self-care is number one. You cannot be in this profession or really in any profession if you're not taking care of yourself. You know, that's something that you always have to remember. And I noticed that, you know, having this idea and being in this field that you have to be on top of it, like your mental health has to be in tip top shape. I have to be perfect. I can't do this. I can't do that. You know, actually being that you're human and that actually showing that you can be human actually helps when helping other people, because it's like, this is a human, like this, she's real, like this is someone who experiences things too. This is making me feel more open when it comes to sharing my experiences, because she is not just Miss Simmons counselor with these letters behind my name, but that I'm listening.
But it
I'm
adds
human
to
just
your
like you.
credibility as well, because you know those who know it feel it. Like,
Right.
you know, you're not just teaching from a textbook, you're also teaching from a personal perspective as well, which, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I was saying, like that just adds to your love of what you're doing, and it adds to the love of your clientele as well. So it just maximizes, I love credentials, honey. It just makes you more credible. You're certified, boo.
Oh Lord, if you ain't got a resume, don't come Tristan's way. That's all I'm
Listen,
saying.
I'm
Listen.
like, who's vouching for you? What are we doing here? You know, I don't play those games because we too old not to have some kind of backings. We too old.
Here we go again. Boy, I tell you.
Don't get me started. I'm not on a whole different topic.
I'm telling you, she's about to shift the whole podcast to something else. If you ain't got no credibility, what are we doing here?
You saw those hands.
But I love it because you're like you said, you're not only taking care of your clients, but you're taking care of yourself as well. So you're not only helping other people, but you're still growing as well. Because like I said, some people feel like you gotta be perfect. You gotta reach the peak before you can actually teach or do or whatever. And it's like, no, like if you reached your peak in your 30s and your 40s, then what the hell are you gonna do for the rest of your life? You're constantly evolving and growing, and you're constantly learning yourself. But that requires you to run into those dark corners of your life that we constantly avoid to better know and master yourself. And I love it because, you know, so many people be like, no, I don't want to deal with that. And
but it doesn't go anywhere. Like, it's not like avoiding, it doesn't help. It's not working for you. So you can try to avoid and dodge. You're really dodging, but that ball gonna hit. Like, it's not far. So you cannot dodge.
Go, there you are.
It's gonna find you.
Right. Like, man in the mirror, where are you going? And that's just why it's imperative that we stop living in a world where it's like, you know, so much shit on social media is, you know me, honey. A wig, a lippy lip, a filter, my ring light. Honey, I'm a whole catfish, and I'll tell you in a minute. I'm goddamn.
Lord.
But at the end of the day, it's so much fake content that is
it's really not,
there.
y'all, but go ahead.
Listen, my wig just came. I'm about to be a size 6 by the end of this week.
I'm sick of you.
Fake content that the realness, I'm happy that the realness was appreciated. The realness and the rawness was actually appreciated. No filter, no script, and that's what's needed.
At all.
Yeah, and it's tearing down walls that need to be teared down, honestly. I don't know. For me, I'm at the point where I am frustrated with the expectations that come with us. Because if you think about it, when you go see a doctor, you don't expect your doctor to never be sick. You get what I mean? Like, right. It's unreasonable for like every other profession, right? So if I'm a firefighter, that means my house can't catch on fire. You get what I mean? Like, it's
just... How your house catch on fire? You a customer. That's how people are.
Like, you know, like, it's just crazy to me. And it's like, it's exhausting. It really is. It is exhausting. And
we feel pressure. It's a lot of pressure. Like, even like when I'm talking to people about therapy, and I'm like, you know, even with the anxiety, they're like, how is someone gonna help me if they're going with this? And it's like, it makes you feel, it puts in your head again, and you need to be perfect. You need not to have these issues. How can you have these issues and help someone else? And like you said, it's ridiculous. Do the doctor get sick? Of course the doctor can get sick.
So your doctor come in with a cold.
I'm gonna be real with y'all. My doctor, I had a doctor. She came in with a boot on her foot, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, but like you said, like they're people too. They're people.
The only exception, and maybe I'm a hypocrite, is
let me see
beauticians. If my barber got a messed up hairline and haircut, I'm like, hey, bro, come on, fam.
But you know, now let me not even, because I was about to
be the one though, because in the nail shop, you go in a nail shop, all them nail techs nails look busted.
And most times hairdressers' hair is not done, but that's a whole nother, let's talk about that off.
We're going to talk about it off air.
Maybe that's me though, but.
Yeah. Nail techs who ain't got no nails.
But that's different though, because they work with their hands though. They work with their hands.
Barbers are different than stylists because I get both. I get haircuts and I get styled, so that's different. But another time, another hour.
I'm saying, if my barber got a crooked hairline, I'm like,
All right, I'm about to head out, right?
Hey man, I'm good. I got an appointment. I'll be
there.
Yeah. When your hairline together, I come and see you, fam. You know.
Exactly.
But no, we joke, but it's seriously though. It's something that we have to deal with that people don't understand. Like Absolutely. You have to walk around like the expectation, and we ourselves have to deal like, you know what, I don't have to meet these expectations, but yet still do quality work.
Of course.
And that's some of the battles that we're dealing with, and you putting that out there to me is a relief to fellow mental health professionals as well. Like, oh man, thank you. Like, it's like, like you guys say you can take your wig off or take your bra off, whatever.
Yes.
Just the relief. Just like, oh man, she did that. She understood.
Right.
It's imperative because that again, like you said, it just demasks and highlights the life we live. Like, we're still people too. Like, people think, oh, well, if you're teaching parenting, your child must be perfect. No, my child's not perfect. I just don't talk shit about my child. Like, it's different. It's a massive difference. You know what I'm saying? And understanding that real life things happen, but it's about how you handle them and like not dwelling and living in those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't be hard on yourself.
Oh,
Don't
man,
be
look,
hard on yourself. Take that away. One of the things to take away. Don't be so
that's
hard on
facts. The world is so hard on you to begin with. Why are you
yourself.
gonna add on to it? And not to mention we're African American, so we get even more piled on us. And you
Absolutely.
guys are women, so even more. You get what I'm saying? Like we definitely have to stop putting more on us
Yeah.
than needed. Like we have to listen. We're not perfect, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's beauty and imperfection.
I can struggle to accept that, and I will admit that. And especially when it comes to your career,
Mm.
I struggle to accept. There's many times Shantae had to put me like, no, you need to chill out. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you need to slow down. I'm like, let me call you back. Your vibe, you got to lay back vibe. You tell me I need to chill out when I'm on my 7 million level shit. I ain't trying to hear that right now.
And I'm no quit. I'm going to call you back.
I be like, no. And then I go to social media and she be on my comments like, I'm like,
All right.
You have to slow down sometimes.
I know that, but like I said, it's very difficult. But to have those people to remind you and to kind of pull your coattail and let you know, like, hey, look, you burning yourself out. You're doing this, you're doing that, and being mindful. But that requires them to actually know you and know how you are as an individual. Like I know, I'm like, yeah, I know she puts other people before her because that's just who she is as a person. So how many times I'm like, girl, fuck them people. But I be like, see, here you go, playing more shit that ain't got shit to do with you. Playing another goddamn event that ain't got shit to do with you. Like, so that's required, like you said, especially in this field where you're constantly being pulled in so many different directions. And you have to be able to tap into you and sit your ass down sometime and reflect and take care of yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And not give it to the pressure.
That's deep though, and that's real because I feel like all of us have issues slowing down. So, I can definitely relate. So
I said, don't even get me started on you, honey.
yeah, well, relax. I can definitely relate. Well, I gotta go there. I can definitely relate. But I'm not gonna lie. Here's one thing that I know I struggle with at times too is these 3 words. Just I don't know. Like being able to sit there and be like, you know what? I just don't know. Like, and it's hard when you're expected to be the expert, you're expected to be the expert. Like sometimes you really don't have the answers for that person. And all you can do is help them process. And people oftentimes don't know the difference between the two. Does that make sense? Because we are not here to give answers, like that's not our function. So us saying, we don't know the answer to this question, but we know the process, like it's hard for people to take that. And sometimes it's hard for some therapists to say that too, because I know like Kristen jokes about some people are really into their credentials though. Like they really are. So they feel like, hey, this is my area. I should be an expert. I should know all the answers when really you don't.
How can you being an expert? Then that means that there's no more to learn.
Right.
Right. So I pride myself on saying, actually, I'm not an expert. Because if I say that, then I have no room to learn. The more I learn every single day. So I'm not an expert on anything. I'm still learning.
Right.
Let's process through this, so that you can learn as well.
Exactly.
Like I can't tell you everything. That's not how it works.
Exactly. So, and people oftentimes therapists struggle with that though. They struggle because they fold under the pressure, right? What we're talking about, the pressure of the expectation. Exactly.
That you're supposed to know.
Yeah, you let your clients bully you into, hey, do this, do that. Like,
like, wait a daggone minute here.
But a lot of that I don't know is what we're seeing now with this whole, pandemic. Like we don't know, and a lot of other professionals from the White House, they don't know either. So we got to get comfortable with sometimes not knowing, or I'm gonna get back to you on that.
Yeah. Sometimes people saying they don't know, it gives people recognizing that you don't know is huge. Because I feel like if you don't recognize that you don't know, you're trying to prove that you know when you don't know. That's when you start feeding people misinformation.
Right.
This is when you're no longer being authentic. It's
there
because you're just trying to prove that you know.
You're no longer being ethical, really. So
yeah. In the clinical, yes, being ethical. Every other day, being authentic. Just let's be real here. You don't know, and it's okay.
It doesn't make you any less of a therapist or mental health professional or anything like
No,
that.
it doesn't. No, it does not.
It's fine. It's fine. All right. Well, thank you so much, Santa. As always, you're welcome. You're welcome. I don't care what Tristan said.
Know where I'm at, boo.
How about this? I'll be back.
There you go. I was gonna say you gotta come back, especially if you once you get your YouTube
I have
page.
stipulations. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You gotta come back, but you gotta come to Georgia.
Ooh. Well.
I'll come back from where I am, and then I'll also come back in Georgia. How does that sound?
I agree.
Thank you.
Right.
I love it.
It's on the record. It's recorded, so
Yes.
nobody can back out. But really, thank you so much for joining us. As like I said before, you gave us permission, so we will post your video. Just send it to Tristan. She'll send it to me or whatever, and we'll definitely post it on our YouTube channel.
Before we let her go, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
What is next? What is next for you?
Ooh, what is next for me? So right now, what is next is getting this YouTube started. I definitely want to, that's like top priority. I think that it's really important for me to do this. I feel it. You know, when something is telling you and you can feel it in your bones, this is something that I need to do. So that is what's next. I got some other things boiling up, but we're gonna wait a little while. For right now, to YouTube. That's right. Coming soon. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on.
Showing up.
We appreciate it. As always, guys, you know you can hit us up on Hans and Tristan Podcast on IG. Like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends. You can hear us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, wherever podcasts are on. You should be able to listen to Hans and Tristan Podcast, so there's no excuse. Thank you again, Ms. Shantae. We appreciate it. We love having you on, and we look forward to having you on again. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.